All right.
That makes sense.
I think that, yeah, that does make sense. I still don't think we're wanting to go down the primary secondary route.
Okay.
So, okay. All right. Thank you, Michael. That's all
You're
I have.
welcome. Yep.
Is there anyone else that has a question that they'd like to ask? Anything? Mike, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, so if you set up the primary, secondary, does that have to be for all members, or can it be a specific set of members, like one agency?
Yeah, it's easy enough to set it up for one agency, or as many members as you feel is necessary. So yeah, once you identify who the primary is, you're literally just going to go into member options, go to level changes, and then link a solo member to a primary. And you'll define who the secondary member is, and then who the primary member is. And you'll just do that for each person that you want to link to that. And everybody else will remain as independent members.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have a question? Michael, do you want to go over the creating a new member from the member's profile?
This would be from.
We have that on our list, a list of things to talk about. So
from within the member's profile. So we're basically, it would be a primary member creating a new secondary member.
Yeah.
All right, I need to do this. I don't want to do this on for people's production sites. All right, I'll do this in my test site, but you'll just have to ignore that. It's not pretty. So let's say we're going to go into, I'm going to find a family membership here because those are very similar to what we're talking about. And I want to find the primary. So this one right here, carmine dioxide. Okay, so in the primary member's profile, there is this option here called additional members in your account. And you literally just click on it and click add, and you can add the level that's been created by the member type. So in your case, they're going to be they're only secondary business members that we're creating. So you're going to click add, and you can put in, well, relationship isn't relevant because these are business member types, but then you would say, you know, first name, last name, and then address information. It's not required. And in your case, the company information would need to be provided as well. Or do you want to provide that? And then click save, and I have to choose a gender because I have it configured so gender is required. And then it just adds the information. Now, once that person has been added, if I had provided an email address, I would have this little icon here that says reset password. And then me as the primary can click that button and it'll send a password reset email to that person so that they can log in and set their own password. But they have become now secondary members underneath that primary member's account. There's an additional way, like if I were to go and look at the business, because I have a business membership, and I look at the primaries. Now, the primary, if I'm going to go to additional members, has this code, right? This special code. And every primary has a separate special code. So if I want that new secondary member to create their own information, so it's saving me some time, I can just email them that code, tell them you're going to go to the website and you're going to log in you're going to basically sign up as a new member. They're going to say become a member. And we're going to select the member type, business membership. I want to add myself to an existing business membership, put in that code. And now it's putting me through entering all this information myself. And I don't have to worry about somebody else having to enter that information. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that as the primary. Make sense?
Mike, you have your hand up. Did you have another question?
No, I think it never went down from a minute ago. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, not a problem. Does anyone else have a question? You all are probably, a lot of you are in renewals. Are there anything in terms of your renewal processes that you'd like to ask Michael? Okay, Karen, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Michael, I know you already talked about it, but can you went a little too fast. Can you go over creating the prime, or creating a prime so multiple people from the same agency can be paid under one invoice?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're going to go into control panel, you're going to go to the people tab, and then like most things regarding members, you're going to do it through people manager. So you click on people manager and click on this big button that says member options and select level changes. And then you're going to link a solo member to a primary. And then you're going to define who that secondary member is going to be, right? So you're just going to select them, and you always search by last name, right? And then you'll select them, whoever they may be. And then you're going to do the same thing for the primary. So whoever the primary is going to become.
Okay, so
then,
you have to link each individual person to the primary.
Correct.
Okay, and then it can be paid under one invoice.
Correct. And then what
Okay.
you'll see is this level will change. So then you'll see who the primary is, and then you'll see the secondary. Some of them will have secondary as they've been added. So
Okay.
they'll
All
no
right.
longer be primary level members.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have a question? Renee?
So if we make changes where there's a primary and all secondary, those people who are now secondary will have access to go in and modify when they need to modify their accounts, like if they change their email address or something like that. It doesn't have to go back through the primary person, does it?
That's correct. Yep. They have full access to their own
Okay.
profiles and the same access that they had before. It's just that their membership is now underneath a primary membership. It really makes the renewal and the payment process so much easier, especially when you have agencies who are paying for multiple people at once. And the same thing for event registrations. When it makes that process for registering people, if they're doing multiple registrations at once, it makes that process much easier too.
Does anyone else have a question? Michael, do you think there's anything that can you think of anything in terms of questions that we've received that we might want to cover for people?
Something that,
Moving on.
like, when you're in People Manager and you're looking down the list of all your members here, and you can see these red and black circles. Red circle means that this particular member is in a renewal cycle, but has not renewed yet. This black circle means that they have already renewed, but if you look at their expiration date, it hasn't advanced yet, which means they haven't paid. So the Metropolitan Sewer District still has an outstanding transaction, which you can see right here, and you can see that they haven't paid yet. So that works out beautiful. But if you're in the renewal cycle and you as the admin goes in and starts setting up primary secondary relationships, so if this let's say we have Trinity Adkins becomes a primary, and then Vonda Adamson, it becomes a secondary. As soon as you do that, both of these members are going to have black circles, and they're no longer going to be able to renew their memberships. And that's just a quirk that is currently on our bug list to be fixed. So when that happens and they no longer have the black circle, so they can't renew, then you just shoot me an email and say, hey, this member is no longer in the renewal cycle. Can you reset them? And I'll reset them so they are back in the renewal cycle again. So hopefully this will be the last year that we have to deal with that, because they should get that bug fixed. But as of right now, it's not fixed.
Michael, this is Tim Wired. I'm with Kentucky Public Procurement Association. I'm the president. It's the first time I've been in a meeting. Y'all might have already talked about this.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they've explained to you at some point, our membership fee is included in our conference registration from the year before.
Yeah.
And we're still, Alan, I don't know if you know how to do it yet. I guess we're still trying to figure out how to, a lot of our memberships are showing that they're expired or they're getting ready to expire, and they're not. So we're getting that question a little bit.
Mhm.
So we're trying to figure out how to go in, and I guess
So-
we need to go in individually to make those people members.
You definitely are going to have to, but the way I would do it is I would go into the event itself and, take a look at, let's say it was, I don't know, was it in this? Did they register? Oh, it doesn't look like many registered. So it looks like it was probably, you have a
Because we
bunch of
switched
people-
over right at the at the
Yeah.
beginning of October. So yeah,
So
it
you're
was-
going to need a list of the people who actually attended or paid anyway, because their membership was part of the conference fee. So you want to get that list of people who have paid, and you're literally just going to go through and, let's say, John Akers was one of the ones who paid and attended. Then you're going to click on the red circle and begin the renewal process for his membership. And then when you get to the payment page, just record as paid through separate system.
all right. Well,
And then in the
Kara-
notes, you
Kara
can
just
put,
texted me.
paid as conference.
Evidently, they've already got it figured out, so they know.
Oh, okay, excellent.
I'm late to the game.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you have
Anyone
a lot
else?
of active members, so that would be kind of cumbersome, I get.
Well, this
we're
time,
actually-
the issue we're going to have next year is trying to figure out how to tie that in here.
And the way the system
Again,
is
because
designed,
when they pay their
yeah.
registration fee, when they pay their registration for conference, $100 of that pays their registration for the next year.
Sure.
So we need to marry those somehow so that it automatically happens when they pay that fee for the next year.
And as of right now, that functionality isn't there to connect the two, but it is something, it's an enhancement request or an enhancement that has been in the development pipeline. So I don't know where it is, as far as whether it's, close to the finish line or quite a ways from the finish line. I just know that it's something that they've been wanting to implement for a while.
Awesome.
And
Okay,
the
thank
same
you.
thing with donations too, being able to accept donations as part of a conference registration too.
Anyone else
Any
have
other
a
questions?
question? I'm sorry. Anyone
no.
else have a question? No? Michael, it might be helpful to walk through how to edit the homepage. I do wonder if
Oh,
there
yeah,
are
we
lots
talked
of
about
people.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're on your homepage and you want to make some edits, you can do it. You can access it two different ways. So the easiest way, in my opinion, is to literally go to this gray slider and just click edit. And then you're going to grab the active version because that's the most current active version that people see. But if you're working on, a new homepage and you've got multiple versions out there that aren't active, you can certainly select one of those, because that's a great way to be able to implement homepage changes without making them active for people to see. But we just click on the pencil to go into the editor, and each of these panels is a separate set of content that you can make available. So this one, it's not visible. You can check the visibility here. This one is available to the public and to members. Some of these you can change the visibility. Like this panel is not visible, but you could say, well, this is visible only to the public. This one's visible only to members. This is visible to everybody. And then if you need to change, let's say you want to insert a new row, you're going to click on row templates. And let's say you want to put in a new 50-50 row, you're just going to drag it and drop it, and you'll have a new 50-50 row. Click in the content area, and then you can drag one of our widgets over, and let's say it's going to be the upcoming events widget, and you can put that in there, and then you can configure the widget. There's just so many different things you can do with editing it. If you want to edit one of the existing ones, let's say you want to edit the upcoming events. This one's an advanced edit panel. So in order to edit it, you're going to click on Insert Edit Advanced Editor, and then you can, we have different widgets depending on which editor you're using. This is the advanced editor, so it's a little more complex. We try to keep it as simple as possible, so I prefer to use the widgets.
I wouldn't recommend editing that just because that has been kind of customized, right? To make sure it shows the chapter
Definitely, yeah.
events and IGP events on both sides, but.
Yep. And in this case, they figured out how to, edit to do some, give props to sponsors and things like that.
What size, Michael, would you suggest for those logos in terms of what I have seen on some chapter sites are just these huge image files, right? That maybe to resize using an external photo image resizer before uploading it, right?
This particular one
Okay.
automatically resizes it. But
Okay.
what I would do is I wouldn't make it any bigger than like 350 pixels tall, and then the width is going to be relative to the height, because if you can't, you don't want to mess with both dimensions, because then you're going to get distortion in the image. But just
There's all
I would,
kinds of
yeah.
free photo editing software out there where you can just go and resize an image for free.
And you can do it in here too. So if you're in the panel and you click on the image, you can set the properties for the image, and you can say, well, this one, the height is 71 pixels. At least it is in this edit window. So this can be a little bit deceptive, but you set the height to be what you want. Let's say you want it to be 200. You can do that. But you want to be careful when you do that, because if you set an explicit height within the editor, then it's going to enforce that. So on a mobile device, that 200 pixels tall is going to be forced on that mobile device. So it's going to look kind of odd. So the best thing to do is to make your images all roughly 350 pixels tall. Like I said, don't set the width, because the width is relative to the height. And add the images, and then just let the system resize them depending on the size of the display that they're being shown on.
Mike, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'd like to know how to change the pictures at the top of the homepage.
The sliders up here?
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. So if you just literally click up in this panel up here, up in the black area, you're going to get Insert Edit Advanced Editor. Click on that. And this is the URL for each of those images. So the first thing you're going to want to do.
Wait, back up. Where did you click at? The black
I'm sorry. Yeah. Let's go back into that. So basically, I click in this black area in this panel. And when I do that, it pops up this that says Insert Edit Advanced Editor. Do you see that, or is that not showing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you click on that. And then this is the URL of each of those images. Now, what we're going to do before we go this part is we're going to go into Control Panel, Website, Web Graphics, and we're going to upload those images here.
Okay, I think I got that far, but I didn't know how to change it.
Okay. So yeah, once you've uploaded it, then you click on this little yellow clipboard, and this is where you're going to grab the URL from. And then you can go back to the home page and then edit it and put in the URL there.
You show how you edit the text and stuff on that slider?
Oh yeah. So that's where the URL was going to go. Now the text itself, if you just scroll down, here's where the text is for each of those panels. So you can edit the text and the title, the subtitle, and the call to action button for each of those panels. And
do
as
you
you
have
scroll
to
down, you'll see
unlink the button first before relinking it?
it's really, really smart to do that. So when you're going to change the button, if you just go here and click on this icon that is to break the link, that is the best way to do it, because that cleans up all the link trails. So now you can just create the new link using the insert link and then say, okay, where's it going to link to, blah, blah, blah. Just as a word of caution, if you forget to do that and you try to overwrite the link, it's entirely possible that you'll have 2 links there behind the scenes and you don't know where it's going to go. So it's just best to clean up the old link before you add the new link. That's a good point.
And each of the slides is a panel scrolling down there.
Yep.
Yep.
You'll see them all down here. And there's a total of 8. You can have up to 8 slides, and there's a total of 8 panels down below. But as long as you have the words none in here, it'll never show slides 5, 6, 7, and 8 because there's no image. And it knows to look for the word none. If it sees none, then it won't even bother trying to display the information that's down here for that panel. That makes sense?
You want to work further down the page?
Yeah. Okay, so there's also a second way to be able to access the homepage to edit it too. So if you go to Control Panel, go to the Website tab, and you have this Home module right here. This is your homepage editor as well. Chapter News is one that I think a lot of the chapters haven't gotten up to speed with yet. And Chapter News is automatically, this is a widget. So it'll automatically display all the chapter news, but you have to create chapter news first for it to display. So I'll go over that in just a minute, but let's see, is there anything else that we want to take a look at down here?
I don't think so. No, maybe just show how you can edit the call to action buttons, right? Just
The call to action buttons, yeah. So for this call to action button, join KPPA today.
No, I meant, so
Oh.
sorry, I meant the call the down below right there, those.
These?
Yeah, the icon ones, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So we'll go to the editor for those. So these are, yes, they're set up a little bit differently. It's not easy. It really isn't. As you can see, it gets very, very messy. So what I do personally is I find the URL of the page that I want this to land on, and I plug it in here where I want it to end up. So it's editing it isn't, it really isn't easy unless you're comfortable editing HTML. But that's one of those custom panels that was created for all the NIGP chapters.
Yeah. So if you all have something that you want updated, you can send it to me and I'll do that for you. So just send it to me and I'm happy to update your call to action buttons there.
Yep. And then, oh, we were talking about news. So if you want news articles to appear, you go to Control Panel Communications, because news is part of communications, and click on News Articles. And you can actually create articles in this editor. And so let's say we're going to create an article, and I'm going to call it, so we'll just call it news. And this is test news, and the author is Michael. And we need a quick summary. You can see the red circle means it's required. So this is the summary panel. And then you can even create a share image. So if you want to share it, it'll choose an image to share. Once it's created, now you're going to click on the pencil, and that pencil is going to give you the editor window for you to put in the content. So this is the body of the news article. And then click Save. And then when we go to the home page, here's our news article. So if we go back to the home page, you can see this is the summary panel. So this is where the summary information appears. And then when you click No More, then you see the body of the article. So it's a great way to share information with people about what's going on with your chapter.
Renee, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm going back to the basics. So staying in your communication, if I was I tried to send an email to all active members.
Okay.
But I don't think that that email ever was, didn't go out. So can you just briefly kind of run over how you would go and send emails to active members or to categories of members?
What chapter are you with?
KPPA.
Oh, with this one. Okay. So if we go to communications, go to emailing, we're going to take a look here. So all of your emails are currently in, well, we don't have any two set up. So let's say it's this one, for example. You're going to create or you're going to choose your distribution list. I always start with create a new list because this gives you predefined lists that we've already created for you. So if you want it to go to all your active solo and primary members, that's an option. But if you want it just to go to all active members, that's an option as well. Click on add and then save. And you'll see your distribution list or your option for the distribution list now has turned from the red circle to the green circle with a check mark. And then you can kind of get like an idea of how many are going to get sent out. So if you just click on this little drop arrow, you can see that 347 will be sent out to that distribution list. One has an invalid email address and 14 of them are members refusing emails. So that gives you an idea of how many are going to go out. And then when you're ready to send it, then you're going to, click ready for delivery. Once everything is satisfied and you've created your content, and then you click ready for delivery, then it'll get sent out. But you have to satisfy all the requirements. Like this one, basic information still has requirements that aren't satisfied. So you're going to click on edit basics and you have to put in, the required, everything with the red circle is always required. So you need a subject line. So this is the subject. And then if you want to track opens, you can do that and click save. And then it changed from red to green now. That makes sense?
And the cool thing
It
about the
does.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
So sorry, go on. Yep, go on.
So when you pulled that up with KPPA, there was one that it was listed there with my name on it. The third one down.
This one, okay.
Yeah, if you click
Membership
it,
expiring
yeah,
within
I'm just trying
60 days.
pick. Yeah, what did I do wrong there?
Looks like everything's correct. It'll go out to 324 people.
Okay.
So it looks correct. The last part, the last step that looks like it wasn't done was to click this button that says ready for delivery.
Okay.
And that would actually send it. That would cue it to send. And then you would see this would no longer say draft. It'll say
so no wonder they
queued
couldn't
for
get
delivery
it.
or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
And then once it's actually sent, it'll change to say sent.
Like, can you show all the various options in terms of the email distribution list, like excluding, so you can be very specific in terms of who you want to send your emails to?
Yeah, I really love this, and I think it's something that kind of gets overlooked. But we have these add and exclude options. So if we want to send it to all active members, but we want to exclude somebody, let's say members of a selected committee, and it's going to be people who are in, I don't know, let's just say professional development. So then we're going to select that committee and say exclude. So now what we're going to send it to is all active members, but exclude anybody who is on that committee. And then we can actually do multiple ones. So we can say, well, I also want to exclude people who are, let's say in a selected, let's just say mailing list category. And we'll say, okay, anyone who is in, I don't know, I'm just throwing these out, like event registrants, and we'll exclude them as well. Okay, and then I can save it as a predefined list. And now I can say, well, I'm going to call this all members minus committee and event. And then I can save it. And then I can use that distribution list going forward. So at some point in the future, if I want to, there we go. Okay. Just want to make sure I saved it. So in the future, if I want to go to a distribution list, I can use a saved distribution list, and I'll see that one here, all members minus committee and event. And I can use it over and over again. I don't have to reselect it. And the nice thing is that these distribution lists are built at the time the email is sent, not like when you're creating the email. So it's always sending to the most current distribution list. So if somebody drops off a committee and so they should start getting those emails, that, and they drop off that committee from the time you've created the email, but before it gets sent out, they will still be, properly represented in the distribution list.
And you can save your emails as templates, so you don't have to recreate the wheel every single time so if you have a regular email that you send out, the button at the bottom says,
Say we do a
save as
hero
template.
section, we'll do a 2-column, and maybe we got a divider, and we'll add 2-column with left text. And so we get, we start creating this really cool emailing, and you want to save it, just click on Save as Template, and we can give it a name, and we'll call it Test Template. And then if we go back into emailing administration, we're going to create a brand new emailing straight from scratch. We'll go to templates, drag over the test template, and it recreates all that for us. Now, if you had actually put in images and text and all of that, it would have recreated that as well. So it's always great if you want to put your, your logo in the header, maybe some text like this is our e-newsletter or whatever text you want to put in. And then maybe in the bottom, put in your social media links, and maybe some information, mailing information or email information, and you can put that in there. It's just a great way to be able to use these over and over again.
I have seen many chapters use this, like they create a template for their monthly newsletter or quarterly newsletter, for instance. So, and all they do is they just update the text each time. So the actual email template is already in place. They just update the text. Yep. And you can link to that, right? Michael, could you show that? Like if they create a newsletter email, that exists as a page as well, right?
Yeah, there's an emailing page that, let's say I'm going to create an email category, and I'm going to call it newsletter. Allow it on view email page. This is important. And so when we create an emailing and send it out to everybody, what happens is you get an emailing page, and on this page will be a list of all the emailings and all the categories that are allowed to be viewed on this page. So you can put something on the menu. So if you want people to be able to look at historical emailings, let's say we want to go to, if we go, and I'll do this, but I'll remove it. So we're going to go to member resources. So we're going to add something here under member resources. And I'm going to add emailing. Now you haven't actually sent any emails yet, so nothing's going to appear here. But if I go to member resources now and click on emailing, this would be a list of all the emailings that you've sent out within those categories. And so we created that newsletter category. So if you send out an email newsletter with that category, it's going to start to appear here in this. So people can look at your historical newsletters.
And can you edit the naming of that, the emailing? Can you change that to
if we go to communications and click on configure, we can go to emailing, and the menu text would be called newsletter. Module can be called, well, we don't want to do that because the challenge with that is that you got to consider that you're going to do a lot of emailing within this module, right? So, but when you view it, now it's called newsletter, that means you really only want to display emails in that category of newsletter. But if you are displaying other emails in other categories, then newsletter really it might not make sense. You know what I mean? Because you might be displaying like important updates or legislative updates or things like that, and you also want those to appear on the emailing page. So you might just want to call it something like email archives. That make more sense?
Yep.
And then when you go to member resources, it's called email archives.
But the key thing is that you control what that's called, so you can edit it based on your needs.
Yeah, and so if I create a new emailing now and I go to edit basics, I can choose newsletter as my category. And then so this is test newsletter. Click on save. Drag over my template. Blah blah. Oh, that's really cool. Let's We're going to save and continue. I'm not going to set a distribution list or do anything, so I'm just going to save and close it. At some point in the future, once it gets sent, this pencil is still active and you can click on it and you can decide whether you want that particular one to appear in your emailings page or not, your email archives page. Because you can control it at the individual email level or at the category level. Because there may be some emails where the information just is no longer relevant, so you don't want it to appear in the emailing archives page anymore.
Very helpful. Does anyone have any questions? One thing I did want to mention is that we are actually not meeting for office hours in the month of December, just based on the second Tuesday of the month is actually there's something going for NIGP, and then obviously with the holidays. So we would resume again back at the beginning of the year. So Karen, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Michael, I'm going to go back to the designating the prime and adding the secondaries on it. When I try to do it for several of my different organizations, I always get this error message either for the member or for the prime. It's basically operation failed. The primary member is already at the maximum number of allowed for the secondary members. And I tried it on several different organizations, and I still get that same message. So I don't know if I have something set up wrong, or I don't know. I just don't know what it means.
The problem is the member type is not configured for secondary members. So which chapter are you with?
SAPPA. SAPPA.
Spelling. Okay, so if we look at your member types, you don't have any member type set up for agencies. That's part of the problem. So you're going to want to create an agency member type. Okay, and then you're going to say, let's see, master membership dues. This is a business membership. And are you going to allow members to add themselves in that member type? So do you want them to have that special code as well?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll enable that. And then we have to enable how many secondary members you want to have within that member type. So what would be the maximum? Let's see. I configured that one. Let me see.
I think our biggest organization has, I'll just say 20.
Okay. All right. So we can, I have to set it to 5 and then I can edit it. Okay, now we're going to go to 20. And what was the fee for the primary and the secondaries?
$30.
So now what you're going to do is you're going to find who's going to be the primary member. Do you have a last name of the primary member?
Sembrano.
S-E-M?
S-A-M. B-R.
Laura, right there. Okay, so we have to go in. Very first thing to do is change her member type. So she is now going to become an agency member type. Now that that's done, if you go into, I overshot. Go back to people manager, member options, link a solo member. So the primary member is going to be Laura. And then what's one of the new secondaries?
You can type in their first name is Denise.
It's by last name.
Gomez Esquivel.
There we are. So we have Denise Gomez Esquivel is going to be the secondary. Laura Sembrano is going to be the primary. Click save and operation completed. So now when we look at Laura's membership, we can see who the secondary members are. And we can see Denise is a secondary member under Laura. And if we look at, wrong one. Additional members in your account, you can see that she's under her now.
Okay, but I just got to designate it designate her as the, who are the primary, I have to designate them as an agency member.
Yeah. And what you'll notice too is that there's a fee here because we added her and is proration. Do you, it's some of the chapters are doing prorating and some chapters are not. At this point, because you're in the renewal cycle, do you want to prorate or no?
No, it's
Is it
for the
charged
20,
$7?
yeah, it's for 24. It's for
Yeah.
the so
So we're
I've
just
got a
going to
lot
go
of-
into a transaction history and, oh, it's under the other one. So we're going to go to Denise, transaction history, and oh, that's an event registration anyway. That's not for. Okay, so that's completely separate. So you're not
Yeah.
prorating.
no, yeah, no,
Okay.
we have an event tomorrow.
Okay. So now she's all set.
Okay, and then I'm sorry again, that was back under
Member options, level changes. See, the very first thing you have to do though is you have to change the primary to an agency membership. Because as long as they're in an individual membership, you won't be able to add secondary members. Because that's the whole point of the individual membership. These are your member types. You have agency, which we just created, and then associate, and then individual, and then student.
okay,
And then
but it starts
Oh.
with it being the agency is going to be the designated prime.
Yeah, if you're talking about setting up primary secondaries, then the agency is the member type that you're going to want to use.
Okay, and
Because
then
all
from
the rest
there,
are set up as individuals.
okay, perfect.
Because you don't want students to have secondaries, and individuals won't have secondaries, and then associates, it doesn't look like those are configured for secondaries either.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Kind of coming up on time if nobody has any questions. Once again, I'm sorry that oh, Renee, you have your hand up. Ask away.
Sorry, just one, just
No,
quick
perfect.
question. On, if you're a part of a committee, if somebody's wanting to be on a committee, can they sign themselves up, or is that just the administrators can sign people to committees?
When the administrator is creating the committee, one of the settings they have is allow members can add, remove themselves. If this is selected, then members will be able to add themselves to committees. So yes. But if it's not checked, like in this case, you don't want people adding themselves to the board of directors, so it's not checked.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're sure. Did you see how I got to the committees? It's under people. Then you go to committees.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, okay, I guess we are done if there aren't any more questions. We won't be meeting again, as I said, in December. So happy holidays and happy new year to you all. I may be sending out an email about switching up the time for office hours, doing one at this time for one Tuesday and maybe another just to try to see if we can get more people. We've heard that it's sometimes difficult in the middle of the day, so I will let you know about that. But I appreciate everyone joining, and we will resume. Thank you, Michael. We will resume again in January.
Yep. Thank you all very much for coming, and have a happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.